Film is saying and tells them, "Come on, let me guide you straight to your destination." As they walk, Film passes by his old home and remembers his children waiting for him outside. He stops in front of the house with sorrow and says, "I no longer have the right to say I'm back." Duiki is about to comfort him, but suddenly she experiences hallucinations again. This time she overcomes them, but he's something calling her from beneath the ground. Gre notices that something is off with Coley and asks what's wrong. Suddenly the ground collapses beneath them, causing violent tremors. A terrifying monster emerges from underground. The soldiers flee but never and arrives just in time to save them, though more and more monsters continue to appear. Phil and Gra and Coley end up underground due to the collapse. Coley appears to be in complete shock, not fully conscious at that moment. A massive boulder falls toward Keiki, but Film rushes to save her, sustaining severe injuries in the process. Coley regains consciousness, confused about what just happened. Gre quickly reaches them and says they must find a way out. Immediately as they move through the tunnels, they come across the corpses of the team sent by the incompetent first officer to explore underground. The sight of blood causes Coley to fall back into her hallucinations. Unfortunately, Alec takes control of her again. Key's fairy powers activate and she dashes toward the direction Alec is leading her. Phil and doesn't understand what's happening and tries to stop her, but his injury prevents him. He grows deeply worried about her. Meanwhile, Neen meets Kn after they finish off the monsters that appeared. Nan asks about Rand's whereabouts and Kn replies that she is monitoring the area in case anything else happens. Kn hopes that the chaos ends soon before anyone else gets hurt or worse. She also wishes for Coley, Film and Gre to return safely. A group of foolish soldiers waste time collecting artifacts to take with them. Another group yells at them, saying their lives are far more important than the artifacts right now, but at that moment monsters appear again. Noph tells Nin to rest since she must be exhausted. No then rushes in to finish off the monsters. At the same time, Coley reaches the location where Alex's body is completely frozen in ice. The moment Key touches the ice, her hair changes from blue to red. Film arrives just in time and grabs her, causing her to regain consciousness. Gre is stunned by the sight and tells Film that he never imagined he would see this again, a frozen human just like how they found Film. Film carries Coley on his back and rushes toward the exit as Great guides them. Meanwhile, the first officer is arguing with the soldiers about the damage to the ship, declaring that he absolutely refuses to die here. He orders them to use every possible method to repair the cursed ship. Back at the surface, Coley is in her room and everyone is worried about her. Though still conscious, she returns to her dream where Lilia defeats Alec. This time Lilia mentions Film's name and says that she must eliminate Alec and sacrifice herself before Film does. At that moment, Lilia attacks Alec, stabbing and killing her. However, Lilia also collapses and dies. Alec reappears before Kitoy and welcomes her. Coley responds as if seeing her for the first time. "I've seen you before, haven't I?" Alec replies, "Yes, and there's something important I need to tell you." She then shares a story. Long ago, humans always sought to destroy the world. In that time, 3 great lords emerged, tasked with protecting the world. They led a mighty army to exterminate humanity. However, over time, a courageous human managed to kill one of the great lords. From that moment on, no one could stop humans anymore. As time passed, they transformed into monsters, wreaking havoc everywhere. Alec then reveals to Coley that the great lord who once protected the world was actually Alec herself. She was killed as a child. Coley is stunned and asks, "So that means you're you?" Alec replies, "And at the same time, that is also the name of your soul." Alec explains that fairies are created from the souls of young children who are unaware that they once died. She tells Coley that ever since Lilia killed her, she has been trapped in this dream. Back in reality, the girls continue fighting the monsters with all their strength. Ran and Kn successfully take down most of the creatures outside. Ran asks Kn how her body feels after the exhausting battle. Kn replies that she feels amazing, though she doesn't know why. Ran says she feels the same exhilarating sensation and notices that her sword moves smoothly exactly as she desires. She can't believe that all of this is thanks to Film's adjustments to their weapons, but suddenly an enormous number of monsters emerge from the cracks. Ran and Kn prepared to fight again. Seeing thousands of monsters, they feel nervous, but they accept reality and launch a full force attack. The monsters infiltrate the ship but never fights them off to protect the soldiers. Unfortunately, due to the overwhelming attacks, she sustains severe injuries while saving them. Meanwhile, Film remains by Key's side as she lies Unconscious, he is devastated, feeling that he has failed to keep his promise to her. Suddenly a monster bursts into their room, filling seizes the moment, unleashing all his fury upon the creature. At the same time, Alec's soul has completely taken over Key's body. Coley is set to disappear entirely in just a few minutes. In that moment she sees memories of herself and her friends fighting against the monsters. Film remembers his family from the past and unleashes all his anger on the monsters he encounters. He blames himself for everything that's happening, for never being able to protect anyone he loves, whether Coley or his human family from the past. He continues fighting the monsters with unrelenting fury. The monsters persist in invading the ship, destroying it and taking down soldiers, but Nan quickly intervenes, shielding the soldiers. They thank her for her help, but she orders them to flee immediately. She is severely injured, exhaustion evident on her face. The soldiers refuse to retreat, insisting they will fight alongside her, but she yells at them again, demanding they fall back. To their shock, Nan's condition starts deteriorating just like Key, yet she keeps fighting. Meanwhile, Ran battles outside as lees of monsters attack her. She eliminates them, but their numbers only increase instead of decreasing. Suddenly Film rushes in to rescue her and asks about Nan and Kn. Ran tells him that Kn is still fighting as she just saw her, but she hasn't seen Nin. However, she's sure Nan is inside fighting the monsters and protecting the soldiers. Ran then looks down at her hand and notices that Film is severely wounded and bleeding profusely. Suddenly Film collapses to the ground from his injuries and excessive blood loss. Everyone continues to resist and fight until exhaustion overtakes them. Nan ultimately falls from the top of the ship. Film sprints and catches her just in time, stopping her from plummeting to her death. He holds on tightly, gripping the ship to keep them both from falling. Nan tells him to let her go and save himself, but Film refuses. In response, Nin releases her grip, letting herself fall so that Film can survive. Film is horrified and immediately jumps after her to save her. At that moment No collapses to the ground as well, completely drained. Suddenly Coley appears, grabs No's weapon and heads to the edge to rescue Film, and Nan Kn desperately calls out to her, trying to stop her, but it's useless. Film reaches Nin, embracing her in midair as they both continue falling. Meanwhile Nov keeps pleading with Coley to stop and leave the fight to them, but Coley refuses to listen. She jumps from the sky with the weapon, determined to fight the monsters and save everyone. Coley manages to rescue Neverin and Film before they hit the ground. Then she unleashes all her power in battle, wiping out every single monster, but of course this costs her life in the end. Days after the battle ends, it is revealed that Coley sacrificed her life to save her people and friends. Nan also perished after using up all her power, causing the fairy gate to open, leading to her death as well. In the act of protecting those she cherished, all of their friends are left in sorrow, grief filling their hearts over the loss of Coley and Nan. During this time Film arrives at Sung's base, ready to hold him accountable.